again, and let's go to the 5th lecture. So, okay, I've turned on to, transcription. How to disable it? Okay, cool. Yeah, today we'll talk about REST. Again, this lecture won't be really long or big because we already a little bit mentioned this topic on one of the first lectures, but here we'll just take a look into details. And again, this lecture won't be really big. That's why we'll have a lot of time to discuss your questions and issues you have. So, yeah, hear me. Yeah, I'm just Ivan Drobush from EPAM. It's model overview. I think you already seen it. Yeah, talking about agenda, as already said, we have a Q&A. So for the Q&A, we'll be able to answer the question about the previous lectures or homeworks. After that, we'll discuss about REST API, and then on the practice, actually, I haven't prepared anything because I have issue with my laptop, but I think I know how I like replace the practice. If we have enough time and you'll desire it, we'll go to your pull requests and check them, and I'll like make a kind of online reviewing pull requests. Yeah, and we'll give just a couple of advices for the code that I've seen. Okay, let's go to the first part. Let's talk about some questions you have. I've seen in the chat that someone has a question about Mongoose query, so we can unmute. Okay, I already posted the question. Is there any difference between query with limit, skip, query all, then use slice? I tried the second one and it doesn't work properly. Okay, talking about the limit. Okay, the answer is yes, there is a difference. For example, let's say you use your Mongoose, and inside your MongoDB you have 1 million records. When you use limit and skip, you say to your Mongoose, and Mongoose says it to database, like, give me please this amount of data, like you put limit 25, and MongoDB will return only 25 records. And skip again will just skip the first, I don't know, n numbers of records. Another way, you can query all data and then make slicing. You can just reduce amount by any like queries, and you can just use slice as you as in your example. But the problem here, if you have a million records in your database, you use query all these million records will be returning, and that's a big amount of data. You can, like, let's say one record has several fields, and every field can be, I don't know, 10 bytes, yeah, and we'll have 10 bytes multiple on number of fields. Let's say 10 fields, it's 100 bytes and 1 million records. We need to multiply on the like size of one record, and okay, it will be a big amount of data. So all this data will be loaded to your RAM, and your memory can be can just run out. Yeah. So that's why using limit and skip is better, because you move the responsibility of choosing the right amount of data to the database, and database knows how to do it with the high performance. Also, when you do some filtering on your site, if you're talking not about slides, but you'd like to get the user with the ID that equal to something, yeah. When you do it by passing this query to the find method, yeah, in that case, the database will be responsible for finding this user, and database has special mechanism for making this search fast. But if you do it on your site, you like query all the data and you put the data into one variable. Inside this variable, you have like a big amount of a huge array, and then you just use a filter method to find the special user you want to find. So this will be like less, the performance will be less, because the database knows how to do it faster. Okay, I hope I answered the question. Yeah, a short answer, yeah, there is a difference. It's better to use the first example. If limit or skip is absent in the request URL, do we need to send back to client in response? Okay, it depends. I will check it manually. That's why you can use like any of the appropriate like variants. So what I mean by appropriate variant. So for example, you can have a default value. Let's say for limit, if the limit is upset, yeah, you can use 20. For example, by default, it will be 20. If the skip is upset, the default value will be 0. So you can go this way. Another way, you can make these fields required. And if there is no such field, of course, you can return to client like 400 error and say, okay, I'm sorry, client, but this field is mandatory. These fields are mandatory, yeah, and you need to include them in your request. And the last way, of course, is just, I don't like this one, but if the limit is not presented in the request, you can just skip it from request to database and return all data, but it's not really good case, because if you have a big amount of data, this request will take a lot of time, and if user sends several such requests, your Node.js application will like slow down, and it might be broken after some amount of such requests. Yeah, okay. I sort the data in my second case like this: data slice offset offset plus limit. When offset 2 and limit 1, it returns 3 record. This is what doesn't work properly. Okay, data slice offset and then offset plus limit. Okay, I cannot answer. It's like just after reading that, because I need to check the slice documentation. Let's check the documentation for slice. Yeah, I opened that. I will like tell you the so what arguments that this slice expecting. So the slice method returns a shallow copy of a portion of array into a new array object selected from start to end, where start is and end represent the index of items in the. Okay, so the first argument is start, and you provide 2. The second one is 2 plus 1. It returns 3 records. Okay, do you mean it returns 3 records or the third record? Like the response size was 1 or 3? If 3, I believe there is some mistake on your side, because I can just make a very small like test, have 3 items in the array, let's say 5 items in the array. Okay, and then do slice, then 10, then 3. Yeah. Yeah, here's the example how you can check. So if we have an array, yeah, which has 5 items, then we use slice method and provide 2 and 3. In that case, the response will be array with 1 item. I've just checked in my like Google Chrome console, and it works. If you didn't see such result, I believe there is an error. Maybe offset is not 2, maybe the limit is not 1, maybe there is a string instead of like number. And yeah, that's a good point, because by default the query parameters, they are string, and maybe that's the reason. Like for example, when you offset is like just a 2, and that's fine. JavaScript thinks that that's 2. I like it. But when you trying to plus offset plus limit, if both of them are strings, the result will be 21. Yeah, you know, and this can be the reason. So I think there is, so it should work, and you can just try to find the error on your side. Okay, anything else? I try to do it outside the Mongoose query and it normal. Yeah, that's why I think it's not the rare, it's not an error with Mongoose, it's error with maybe parameters. Check the type of these parameters. Also, if like after this session, if you cannot fix this issue, you can share the link to your repository with the code that doesn't work. I will take a look into it. Maybe I'll find the issue. Okay. I think that's it about the questions. I think we can move on. Yeah. And let's talk about REST. So here, like Richardson mature model, this model provides us like a scale about maturity of the API. And yeah, it's we need to read it from the bottom to the up. Yeah, for example, the bottom is just an old XML approach. Then we kind of can improve our API, and then the first level is URI, yeah, multiple URI based resources and source, yeah, and single verbs. Yeah, for example, we can use a GET request for getting data, for updating data, for deleting data. In that case, it will be based on URI, yeah, because it likes URI in the left side. It likes provides URI, yeah, it provides the way how we distinguish the endpoints. And for URI case, we just distinguish them by the URL instead of URL plus verbs. And the second way, the second layer, it's HTTP. And using HTTP, we distinguish our endpoints by URI and plus verbs. And for example, get slash users is not the same one like post slash users. That's how we do it by using HTTP. And the last one is hypermedia. Hypertext at the engine of the application state. It means we, for example, can in the response, yeah, we can provide some additional links. Let's say we have a user, yeah, and when we get this user, inside this user we might have a friends, let's say field, yeah, and instead of providing IDs to the friends, like this user has a friend with ID 25, we will provide the link to the friend, to not the just ID but the link. And when we make the request by using this link, we'll be able to get a special friend. So that's what does mean hypermedia. We provide kind of links to the different resources, and we can use our like API, and we can get the information about some like data, and inside this information we'll have additional information about some connected data. Okay, let's continue. Yeah, and talking about REST, what does it mean REST? So REST is acronym, and it stands for Representational State Transfer. Yeah, it's architecture style for distributed hypermedia systems, and I'd like to highlight that that's not something there is like in our computers or in the servers. This is just a style. I mean, it's not about protocols, yeah. It's just a style. So when you create API, you use this use this advice, yeah, to how to be RESTful application. So it's not about like protocol again. It's just a set of rules. Yeah, it means when a RESTful API is called, the server will transfer to the client the representation of the state of the request source. And in your homework, the first one and the second one, you might already see that the approach how we name the endpoints is very similar. We just provide slash, and then we provide an entity name, like resource name, for example, users. Then we provide ID of this user, and that's how REST works. Yeah, we just use a special namings for our endpoints. There are several rules, like principles that when you're like if you Google REST, you'll see them. It's client server, it's uniform interface, it's stateless, cacheable, and layered system. Yeah, actually, some of them are kind of deprecated because by default, client server it's hard to imagine any API that is not client server. Yep, because you by default do it because it's like usual case for today. Yeah, uniform interface is the one that I've explained to you. Is how we name the resources and so on. It's all about uniform interface. So stateless, I think we'll little bit discuss about that later. Cacheable is some of the endpoints should be cacheable. Yeah. For example, if we get in user, yeah, by ID. So if we do like 10 requests per second, it's not needed to make every time request to database and get the user and then return it 10 times because it highly so like between the first request and 10th request, the user might not be changed because special user is not changing like often. That's why we can cache the information. Yeah. And when we make the first request, we go to database, we return user and create a cache. And next time when someone else will request the same user, the data will be returned from cache, and that one will be faster than going to database, find the special user, and so on. So that's why caching is a good thing, but only for special cases, because adding a new user, it's not the thing that should be cached. Yeah, because when we add one user and then we trying to add the second one, we need to have ability to do it. Like we don't want to cache this information. To cache like the user that was created. And layered system, that's like the thing that we don't need to, so that the server can be several like APIs that communicate between each other, but yeah, we actually won't deep dive into this principle. Okay. Yeah, here just the example of like uniform interface. Every kind of resource you want is a different URI. Yeah, for example, you'd like to get the information about users or groups or even, I don't know, friends and so on. It will be different resources and URI will be different. Yep, like slash users, slash groups, slash users, slash user ID and slash books, which will mean like books of the special user and so on. Here the example of the most popular verbs that should be used for like CRUD operation, like read, update, and delete. Of course, post for create, get for read, push for update. Also, there is a patch method that is used for update, but when we want to update a special field instead of the whole entity. And delete, so this one is used for the deletion, of course. And yeah, the server does not keep track of state. The one that I said before, like it should be stateless. It means when we want to update the user or get the user, we need to provide the information about what user would like to update, what growth we'd like to get, because this data is not stored on the server. Server shouldn't know about like you as a client. I mean, server doesn't know when you create a first request, for example, get the user, yeah, then you create a second request, like update the user. You need to provide information which user you want to update, because the server doesn't know that these two requests were done from the same like client. That's what does it mean serverless, stateless. It means that server doesn't store any state on his side. So when you create a request, you must include the whole information about the request you would like to the request you would like to do. So there is an exception about authentication, because if we are using a cookie approach, yeah, in that case, all sessions will be stored on the server, and that's kind of the way how we do not use this rule, but that can be exception. But again, if we are using GVT approach, in that case, it still will be stateless. Because the token is not stored on backend side, and inside token we have all needed information. Okay, so the next one is the client manages the logic of the application. It means that on the client side we do all stuff related. So when we want to Okay, so the server will provide just a way how to manipulate the data, but the whole logic will be improved on, will be implemented on the front end. Like when we want to update user, we still need to get the user, provide this information to the client, to the I mean, to render this information, all the fields, then the client clicks the button, then this data will be sent to the server, and this user will be deleted, updated, created, or whatever. So all this logic will be like application logic, will be on the front end side. But actually, all these rules that I'm trying to explain to you, they are, some of them are obvious. The reason why it can be obvious for you because you didn't see any difference with the other approaches, yeah. But I need to explain like this thing to you that you will be able to understand why we do so. Yeah, that's why I'm sorry. Okay, let's go to the next. Yeah, okay. Maybe you have some questions on this like part. Maybe something is not clear for you. Any questions about REST, about its principles? Okay, I don't see any questions. Then I think we can go. And yeah, let's go to the next slide. Yeah. When we're talking about REST, we have two terms. We have a big, like a lot of terms, but these two, the most popular. The first one is a client. And when we're talking about client, it can be anyone or yeah. So, like, I mean, it's not necessary to be a person because the client can be also another server. The client can be front-end application. The client can be mobile application and so on. Here, the example of Twitter API. Yeah, you'll be able to read this one after I'm sharing the presentation. But the idea is when you create your API, yeah, you actually might even don't know who is going to use your API. And all of these users will be clients. And you also can be client of some another API. For example, you're using you're creating an API for sending for providing ability to manage user state. Yeah, you return the user, you give ability to update and delete users, but also you need to use some server, some another service for authentication. Yeah, you'd like to use OAuth, yeah, approach. In that case, you will be client of some another API of a Google API, or you would like to get the information about the user from, I don't know, Twitter API and so on. In that case, you will be client. So it's possible to be a client and like server at the same time. So the client is who is using the API you provided. And the resource is just an like entity. For example, the resource it can be user. Here the example of Instagram API. Yeah, it can be user, photo, hashtag. It can be group. It can be anything. So each resource should be should have a special route, special endpoint, and we'll be able to use all these verbs, all these HTTP methods to provide ability to somehow get or change the special resource. Okay, go to the next one. Here the like explanation of RESTful. So when we're talking about RESTful, it's enough to support only three principles. From REST, in that case, our application will be RESTful. The first one is client server. Yeah, we discussed about that one. Stateless and cacheable. I don't think we need to explain something more because I've already explained everything about like all three these principles I already explained. Let's go to the examples. Here just the example of REST API. Yeah. For example, if we'd like to create an API that will use that will provide us ability to manipulate orders, we would like to have to provide an endpoint to get the information about all orders. In that case, we'll use the example like at the first row. We provide like /API and then / and then it's the name of the resource. Yeah, order, just /order. I'm sorry, orders. Then we'd like to provide ability to get a special order. Then we provide / and then ID. The same thing for post, yeah, to create a new order, then put for update. And you see, like for post, we don't need to provide ID because we don't need the ID. In most cases, ID will be generated on the server. But even if the ID is not generated on the server, it's still better to use like API/orders and include the information about the ID inside body. So like for post method, we don't need to include ID. And put delete, they look the same, just the different method. Okay, let's go to the next one. Yeah, when you want to create some application, let's say you'd like to create your own Instagram client, or you'd like to create a Twitter API, or for example, you'd like to create a bot in some messenger that will get the information from some Twitter accounts and create a special feed for you. In that case, you will be needed to use APIs of some application, for example, of Twitter API, of Instagram API, and so on. So to do so, you can just Google like Instagram API, find the way how to authenticate in this API. Here's the example of how to use it. And you'll find the information about endpoints, about the authentication, about the resource that there are in such in these endpoints, and so on. So that's how you can consume and how to be a client of such APIs. But again, if you're creating your own API, you will be a client and the server at the same time. Yeah, I think that's it from this slide. Yeah, okay. Actually, it's almost, yeah, there are only 2 slides left. It's about the validation. By default, when we create our API, we do not trust our clients. For example, what does it mean? If we create the API, let's say we are using our API from the first homework, yeah, to create the ability to store files and return them. We do not trust our clients because they can do it not intentionally. They can do it like by accident. They can make some mistake in the request. For example, they can provide the information of the file name, but they forget to include extension or forget to include body, or the name of the field is different. So that's why we do not trust our users, our clients. So we need to validate the information that comes from our clients. And for example, you did this already when you implemented your first homework. You needed to check whether the information of the that user provided to us is correct. Yeah, the extensions are correct, if there is such file, and so on. So we need to provide such validation. When we do some more complex stuff, for example, creating a user entity with a lot of fields, we'll be needing to validate each field. We need to make sure that like name is less than 50 symbols, characters. We need to be sure that type of age is like number. We need to make sure that, I don't know, like password is secure enough, and so on and so on. We need to make a lot of validations. And if we do it like just straightforward, we'll see that it will be kind of mess. We'll have a lot of if statements, and it will be just a big, like kind of, it's not spaghetti code, but a big function which will validate. And that's not really, it doesn't look great. That's why there are a lot of tools that will help you to do such things. And Joy is one of the most popular ones for JavaScript developers. Yeah, here's just the small example how it works. You just create a schema. Inside the schema, you provide the information about like what you're going to validate, and you can see that we say that it will be object. Inside this object will be next fields. It's username. It will be string. It should be should contain only alphabet characters or numbers. the length should be less more than 3 symbols and less than 30, and it should be required. Yeah, but also we can like mark it as an optional. In that case, it can be omitted in the request. Then password, then access token, then burst year, and so on, so on, so on. So this tool will help us to validate the input that the user provides to us. So that's not like the only tool. There are much more tools such as class validator that is using class validator and class transform that they are using TypeScript in very declarative way. You can create the same schemas and so on, but it's really important to make such thing. And after that, we'll be need to use such schema, provide the object, and like connect them, the object to the schema, and Joy will do this checks for you, and it will provide the information like, okay, this object is okay, or this object has several things to improve. For example, the username is not presented, the birth year is not a number, and so on and so on. And it will throw the error, and if you see the error from Joy, you will send back the request with the 400 status and say, okay, I'm sorry, I don't trust you, I don't like to create the user because the body is invalid. Yeah, okay. I think actually that's it from my side. Yeah, then go to Q&A. Maybe you have any questions about the thing that I already said to you.
I just still confused about your authentication using GVE. So can you compare between two method when the GVE is sent from the header and when it is sent from the cookie? Because if the GVE token is sent from the header in the client code, we need to some code to assign the GVE token to the header. But when we're using the cookie, I now that the cookie will be sent automatically when yet and if we use the token in the header or authorization, where I need to store the token when the server send the token, and I know if I store in local storage, it will be unsafe, and yeah.
Okay, I think I understand your question. So talking about GVT, so when we create the token, it's a good point. Like, how should we provide this token to the client? And yeah, if we put this token, if we decided to, if we expecting to have this token in the header, in the authorization header, in that case, we need to like we need to include every time for every request this token to the header. But if we are using cookie, this will be done automatically, right?
Yes, and if we use the option HTTP only, so the token will not be read from JavaScript code, right? And if we
I got it. Yeah, I got it. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Talking about GVT, so actually GVT is not designed for front end. I mean, for browser, because cookie is only browser way. Yeah, in mobile application we don't have cookie. Yeah, there are only some like ways to like workarounds, but there is no native support of cookies. Yeah, that's why if we are using cookie, it most likely that we have a front end from browser. But if we have mobile application that is going to use our service, or there is, for example, another services that like another APIs that should use our application. In that case, they'll be needed to create a special like cookie header and so on and so on. And talking about comparison, GVT, if we have not only browser clients, it's better to think about some GVT and token-based stuff. Yep, because we will be needed to implement cookie on the client side. But if we're talking about browsers, you're absolutely right that we'll be needed to provide the cookie. If we provide the HTTP only flag, this cookie won't be able to access from the JavaScript code. And actually, if we are using approach with yeah, okay. If we have a token, again, we're talking about the front end, the browsers. If we have a token and if we provide this token in the cookie, we actually don't need token anymore because if we use cookie, we can use session approach. We just provide a special session ID in the cookie, set it on the server with a special flag. Yeah, on the front end, we don't even need to think about the cookies because all requests will be done automatically. I mean, all authorization will be done automatically. So in that case, GVT is not needed. So I hope I answered. So to sum up, if we have not only browser clients, cookie is not a good choice. If we have only browser clients, we can use cookie approach, but in that case, we don't even need token. We can provide a session ID, only just a special ID that will be sent to backend automatically, and we don't need to think about secrets, GVT thing, and so on.
Okay, so when your server send the cookie, send your token to client, what is the best practice to store the token for you in your net request?
I am not sure that I understand you. Could you please rephrase, like when?
Okay, so
I understand the first part, like if.
Okay, when your client receive your token from server, where your client should store your token.
Where to store this token? Yeah.
Yeah.
It can be local storage. That's a good way to. Yeah, I understand your point. Like this token can be corrupted, can be stolen. That's true. But to avoid such situation, you need to add a more gates of security on your backend. You can use a two-token approach, like with access and the refresh token. Also, there is a way to store this token in some, like inside JavaScript, but in that case, you will be needed to relogin every request and so on. So you cannot store token in some secure place where it won't be accessed because there is no such place on front end. So yeah, it can be just local storage. And yeah, if the token will be stolen, of course, user will have some time to be able to use your account, but it will be very short amount of time. And if you done everything, if you did everything correctly, it won't be this user won't be able to refresh this token, and yeah, that's it. So actually, as I already said, if someone has access to your like computer, to your browser, in that case, he can just store your passwords. He can do a lot more and worse stuff than just stealing token.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. Okay, I see one more question in the chat. Is there a way to check all endpoint proficiently, like tool or something else? I excited when check all them success difference error. There is like we have a bot, yeah, that checks your handworks, but as you already said, so that this bot doesn't work like properly. But there is a tools, there is a end-to-end testing. You can like write a code that will check your code. But also there is a little bit easier way. You can use Postman. Inside Postman, you can create tests and so on and so on. But again, it will be needed additional efforts to create a test, create like scripts, create algorithm, how some tools should use your API and test them. So there is a way, but it's needed additional effort. So you can use Postman. You can try to find a way how to write this. On our current project, we have about 1,000 tests on the Postman side, and our QA uses such tests to check if that everything is okay and nothing was broken, but it's needed a time to write these tests. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'd like, so if you want, we can go through two, for example, through two pull requests. I'm sorry, through two homeworks. Okay, I see the question. In authentication, when we should use Passport.js? Yeah, you can use Passport.js when you need to authenticate or authorize your user. So Passport.js just gives you some more it will make it easier to create authorization and authentication. So you can use that one if you want. Yeah, so when you want, you can use it for any authorization, for GBT, for beer, for cookie, for Twitter authorization, for Facebook, and so on and so on. There are a lot of like strategies that Passport.js supports, and you can use like them. So it's just how you want. Okay, do you want, I can share the screen and go through a couple of your homeworks and just give kind of live code review and say what was good, what was not really good, what can be improved to give you, because like I'm providing you the knowledge, like what is REST, what is authentication, authorization, and there is like one thing that I'm not providing to you because it needs a lot of time. It's like how to write the code, how to do it correctly, and yeah, by creating like live code review session or live coding session when I code something, you can see how it's going in real projects because I'm a real developer, and yeah, I would like to make some code reviews. So do you like it, or maybe you don't like it, and in that case we can finish? Okay, I see one. Go. Okay, yeah, let me open a couple of pull requests. Okay, 1 second. I will go. Okay, I will check, let's say, 2 of them. Okay, I opened 2 random persons. I don't know who are them. Maybe it's you. Let me share the screen. How to share the screen? I believe you should see my screen. Correct?
Yeah, I can see.
Cool. Great. Let's go to as already said, I opened it to persons. Yeah. And let's go to code. Yeah. First of all, what I do is go to package.json. Yeah. And inside this package.json, we can check what tools are used in the in that in that project. So as you can see, someone is used Joy, the one that I've explained you, but also someone is used FS model. Actually, it's not needed here because FS is internal Node.js model, and it's not needed to use such model, and this line can be removed. And Morgan for login. Okay, let's go to the code. We go to index.js. Of course, it's a good idea to read the README, but yeah, we'll spend time for that. Let's go to coding. Here the example how everything is set up. Yeah, we create an express, then create app, then add some middlewares, then create roads. And the good thing here is all this configuration stuff is in separate file. That's a good thing. And also I like that this person using he's using like routers. So that's a good point because routers will help us to separate the logic. And here he just created a special file in the, we can do this way. Okay, let me do the same thing here. Yeah, it will be, okay. I need to sign in. Okay, okay, yeah, let's go just through files. Yeah, let's go to the routers. We go to data, and here, not data, routers. Yeah, we go to file, and here the example of the file routers. So here the example, here we can see that FS model is required. I'm sorry. Yeah, give me a couple of seconds. I will find a charger. I'm sorry. Yeah, hello again. I'm sorry for that. I didn't think that the battery will run out. Okay. Yeah, talking about this role, as already said, it's not needed to have such model in packages because this model is internal. This is a good point because we can use promises, and it's easier to use them than old callback approach. Then go to the next methods. It's get extension. Okay, no questions here. Again, the same thing here. Then then the first endpoint when we would like to get the file. We get the file from params. Then first of all, we check in that everything is okay. If it's not okay, we return the error. But actually, it's not a popular 406. It's better to use just 400 error, just an error, and provide the information in the message. So I would like to have 400 here, but again, it's not necessary. Then we check that we read such file, then we get the information about that file and return that to the client. If there is such error, some error, we return 500 error. So actually that's pretty good. The only thing I would like to add here is about checking such file before. Yeah, we can check if there is such file. Yeah, if there is no such file, we return an error. But I think if there is no such file, this function will return error, and we'll see error to we'll send the error to the client anyway. Okay, let's go to the next one. Get files. Yeah, actually, also no questions here. I think, yeah, I think I've opened the wrong pull request. I'm sorry, the wrong the wrong repository because a lot of things here they are good. Yep. Okay, here we already seen it before. Then we check the content, and then again we use promises write file and create the file. Again, the same thing here. No questions. So again, we already seen this thing before. Yeah, append the file and if error 500. Delete file, the same thing. Okay, yeah, that's good. I almost don't have question for that project. I think that was done pretty good. Also, let me check one thing. Actually, it's better to that's funny. Okay, it's better to do not include such files because they should be ignored. And these files shouldn't be in the repository, but the code itself is good. Yeah, I like this repository, so we can go to the second one. Okay, let me back. Yeah, again, the package is on of this person. It's quite good, only Express and Morgan, and no questions. Let's go to the code. We open the server.js file, And the first thing I would like to highlight is it's better to separate the logic because we have only a couple of endpoints, and if we needed to add more, it will be a one big file, what is not good. It will be harder to add in new changes. Then we create some middlewares and so on. Access log stream. So this is using for. Okay, the first thing is var. It's not good to use var in 2022 because it's deprecated, but we use log stream to Morgan. Again, all this configuration can be done in another file. Okay, then param. So this is actually not really popular approach, but okay, it can be used. So this way, how we can provide the logic for all param with the name file name. So if any endpoint has such thing, yeah, then this code will be executed before. So we just check that the information is correct and so on. And actually, yeah, it's pretty good here. And if everything is okay, we just provide next. Actually, we can put return statement here and here. And that if we do so, we won't be needed else statement. And if everything is okay, next will be like called without any else statement. Okay. Let's go to the next one. We would like to create the file. So again, file names. Again, you can see that we have the same regex here and here. It looks like kind of duplication of code. It's better to create additional, maybe variable, maybe a function that will check a file name and so on. Then okay, what's next? We check this information. Okay, the password. Okay, again, var. I don't know why we have var here and const here because it can be just a var. It's dir name. So when we'd like to create a path, it's better to use path model of Node.js, yeah, because it's he'll be able to create a correct path. So, for example, for Windows Linux, these slashes can be different. So that's why it's better to use a path method. I'm sorry, model. And here the next thing that I'd like to remove is sync method. So actually using sync method is not a good idea. So it's better to do not use them. The only thing when sync method can be used is on the application startup when it's not even started for users and no one is using that, or maybe for some scripts, because sync methods, any sync method, exist sync, read file sync, write file sync, doesn't matter. So all of them, they are blocking event loop. That's why it's better to avoid using them. It's better to use like promises, fs promises methods, and put just await here. Then if we have password, we add password to the content. Okay, then write file. And again, here we use callback approach. It's not really good. It's better to use await approach. I'm sorry, promises approach. In that case, the code will be kind of simpler, nicer, less like intents here and so on. Okay, actually, talking about Express, you can see that here we just use res status 500 JSON, but here we use res status code equal to 100. So in that code, we can see that we use two different ways to set the status code of the response. Actually, this one is correct. This one is not correct. But by default, when you provide some response, Express returns 200 status. So that's why when we remove this code, nothing will be changed. 200 will be still returned. Okay, then we return all files. Again, callback approach, not good. It's better to use promises one. And then getting information. Getting information from the request. Then okay, here you can see that pass is used, but here pass is not used. It's better to use pass again everywhere where we manipulating paths. Then we read the file, again, promises approach, and you can see that we use read file, like one more tab is added, then we check if it's error, one more tab is added. That's why it's not good, because the code is going to the right side, and if you have a lot of callbacks, it will be callback hell. It's a known term, and that's not really good. So it's better to use promises approach. But again, if the error we return, if the file is not found, we return 404. That's a good point. Yeah, I like this approach, because we'll provide more information to the client about the error. Because if we return 500 error, in all cases, the client will know nothing. But if we provide 404, the client will know, okay, that means that there is no such file. I understand that. Okay, again, sync method not really good. Start with password. That's okay. That's data. Okay, talking about approaches, there is approach when we do functional style. Do not change variable. Actually, it's a good habit to do not change variable in the arguments. So it's better to create a new variable instead of changing this one, because it will be harder when I see like this code. I don't want to check all this code, and I see this code, and I, for example, find, let's say, data here, and I think, okay, data, I have data here. It means that this data is data from the file that I read, but actually data was changed, and I need to go through all this function to be sure that this data is not changed. So that's why it's a good habit to change, do not change the arguments and create a new variables instead. We can create like a new data and provide this new data here, and it will be easier. Okay, that's fine. That's a good thing here, yeah, because we provide a content type, and instead of saying just a JSON or something else, we use the same content type that file is, yeah, that we return, that we get. That's a good. Okay, the next one, put one. When we would like to update the file content, we check the content, some validation stuff. Then we check, again, sync method not good, callback, they are not good. And okay, that's it. Then delete method. And again, the same things here. And yep, that's it. So yeah, as you can see, the biggest things I would like to improve here is using the proper methods of FS. I mean, promises one instead of sync one, or even callbacks one. And yeah, using path, it's also a good idea. Okay, cool. Maybe I have something else. Yeah, I can. Log files, they shouldn't be committed, because these log files, when you're, let's say there are 5 developers on the same project, and if everyone will load the log files to the repository, the log files will be different for every developer, and in pull request we'll see log files in every pull request, what is not good. So it's better to put this data, put these files into git ignore. Yeah. Okay, so that's it. That's what I wanted to show you, how I check your homework. Okay, see the question, query for password. Where is the query? Okay, that's a good point. So the query is query parameters. When we get in the, for example, users, let's say 1.3, and here you can provide name equal Ivan, let's say, yeah. And this is a query parameter. I'm sorry. The name is a query parameter name, yeah, and Ivan is a query parameter value. And we can provide several query parameters like name Ivan, age 22, I don't know, something else, age, name. Okay, we can provide more query parameters here, and all these query parameters, they will be in request.query object, yeah, if I send such request, then I'll be able to access it by rec.query.name or, oops. Okay, I think you understand it. Yeah, okay, cool. Any questions? We shouldn't query the password, right? Yeah, password and query parameters not good. Yeah, you're right. I've seen that here, I think. Yeah, but it's in body here, but here in query. Yeah, query parameter, it's not really good for password. Yeah, but it's just a bad practice. But in practice, I think it can be, it's better to use some headers for that. Again, talking about authorization, yeah, we can provide a basic authorization. We can provide a special header for that. A query parameter, they're secured, but again, it's better to avoid using query parameters for some kind of secure stuff, because the query parameters, they are visible in the address bar, and if you are making screenshot, for example, yeah, this password can be included in your screenshot and will be shared to everyone, so it's better to avoid. You're right. Actually, this is in homework specification. Okay, yeah, I'm not the one who created the homework like assignment. Yeah, that's why I don't remember it exactly, but if so, in that case, you needed to implement that one, but it's just a way to, okay, it's not like a good thing. It's just to show you how you can use a password to access something. But yeah, again, it's better to use headers. Okay, anything else? Cool. I don't see any questions. I think that's it. Yeah. After this lecture, I will share the lecture PDF file. You will be able to recheck everything that I already said, and that's it. So I'm just reminding you that the Thursday will be the last day for your second homeworks, and again on the next Thursday I will give you the third homework. And one more thing, the next lecture will be the last one. Okay, cool. Thank you very much, guys. And yeah, have a good day or evening. I'm not sure what time is in Vietnam, but yeah. Anyway, have a good evening
Thank you.
if it's evening. Yeah.
Thank
Bye.
you.